going to be fishing the Waggler laid on today. I'm going to put my glasses on because it's very bright. Got a couple of rods, a lightweight setup and a heavyweight setup. The lightweight one I'm going to set up with maggots for small bits and bobs, and the heavy one with corn. And the two rods of today's choice are the 13.6 Tunley Mark 1 specialist float rod. That's the heavy one. And I've got the dark carp and Harrison specialist 1 pounder, and that's the rod I'm going to use for light fishing. So I'm going to set these up now and get to it. I've got the rods in their elasticated rod tops, and I've got the small pockets on where I've got the plummet, because I like to leave them all set up, plummets on. And up here I've got a little adapter to put the Waggler on. But that's an easy one to do. The other rod's exactly the same with its plummet and setup. All I've got to do is stick on the appropriate Waggler, and then I am pretty much ready to go. So I'm just going to set these up and fanny about a bit and check the depth of the water and set everything up nicely, and then I can get going. This is my dedicated depth finding float. It's a little Waggler that I made for myself, and I'm going to stick it on to the little clip, and just goes on. It's hugely buoyant, and there's my plummet, and I can then just out to go, measure it up, and I'm going to put some tape on the rod to mark its exact depth, and then any float I put on, I can just adjust it up to the right depth. Right, let's have a go. Right, I've found the depth. Got some tape, skizzers, and it's just about to there is the actual true depth on it right now. So I'm going to just mark the rod here with some tape, take my glasses off and put these ones on so I can see what I'm doing. And that way make sure the line isn't caught in it. That way I know that's the true depth to the hook in the keeper. And that's the depth. So if it all goes wrong for whatever reason, I know how far I'm out. I've taken a shadow line, I can see the shadow, the usual thing that us float fishermen do, and I know the depth. So that rod is sorted. The other rod I can literally lay up against it, hold them together, and just mark on that one because I'm going to fish the same spots. It's just different techniques. This one's going to be quite small for bits, and the other one's going to be heavy, big baits for the carp that are in there. So stage one complete. Right, I've clipped on a Drennan Visi Wag 2 for the light rod, and it's the 2 gram jobby. Self-cocking, just takes 0.4 of a gram of BB, 2 number 4s or 4 number 6s as dropper shot, and that takes it right the way down to the red. There is the actual true depth. So when this settles down, it'll settle down about 2 inches lower. So that's going to be my lay on. So I'm going to be laying on 2 inches. If you look here, there's my 4 number 6s, and I've got a good 9 inches between. So she's going to be laying on about that much. I'm not going to have any pinch shot on the end, any lay on shot. Just going to let this one do its own thing. Right, let's have a closer look at my setup. I've got the Tunley Mark 1 13.6 specialist float. That's a big mouthful, but that's the one with the retractable handle section, so she packs down to like a 12-foot 2-piece. But she's 13.6 when assembled. Now, big hook. I've got like a size 10 on because it's 2 or 3 grains of corn, and I've got what I call an anchor shot, approximately 2 inches up, and that's just to do that sort of drift beater thing where it just anchors it so it can't be dragged around for the tow. I've got a really good 2-foot long hook link, swivel, drop a shot, and then up to my float stops, a clip, and the VisiWag 7. Pretty sure it's the 7. Yes, the 7. This is a 4 gram. My favourite Waggler floats. They are preloaded. All you got to do is put the dropper shot on and it all works. And that is the setup. So if I ever need to change the float, if the wind's a bit too much and I need to get a heavier float on, or the other way around, a lighter float, I can just swap it over. I've got my marker, and as you can see, I'm considerably over depth. But that is the depth of the water. That would be for my shot, my anchor shot. That's where the float will sit. So I'm laying on pretty much only 2.5 inches. So I've got anchored, soft line for 2.5 inches, and the float finds its own position. And that way, if I get any sort of lift ups or sailaways, everyone's a lollipop. But it's been a bit hard craft because it's very bright and sunny, as you can see. The carp look like they're all sort of starting to group up, and they're cruising around very much on the top, and I don't want to go for them on the top. I want fish on the bottom. So I'm going to swap over to the lighter setup. We'll have a look at that in a sec. It's fundamentally the same, but it's just going to be there for catching rudd, roach, small bits and bobs, and hopefully I'll catch a few. So we'll have a look at that in a sec. Flies are everywhere. The light setup, dark carbon 12-foot 1-pounder, perfectly capable of big fish, but I use it for smaller ones. I've got a size 14 hook for single or double maggot, drop a shot, swivel, and the same sort of float attachment arrangement there. And the VisiWag 2. This is a 2 grammer. No anchor shot, it's just over depthed by a few inches. The float will sit down to the red and it will just lay on naturally by a couple of inches, and that's the light setup. I'm going to go about seeing if I can catch some rudd and roach. Nice. Typical, whilst using the little setup for rudd and roach, I hook a small carp that's giving me a nice bit of a run around. There you go, right on the edge, there you go. Right, time for the net. Typical, as I said, using the light rod for roach and rudd, and that little baby coming along. Very beautiful. Give a good account for itself. A few pound. I'm happy enough with that. And away we go. Well, I just had that little carp on the roach rod, so I'm going to retire it for now and go back to the big girl and hopefully catch carp on the proper setup. Lovely. Another little rod. The aerator's on. It has strangely brought the fishing on a bit. And this one needs a bit of a disgorging. Very keen. Right, got a size 14. It's actually a feeder special. They're my favourite float hook, believe it or not. I know it's crazy, a feeder special. It's the eyed feeder special. I'm double maggot fishing, no finesse, but the rudd and roach don't care. So, double maggot. Right, I'm getting quite a few little bites which aren't resulting in anything, and double maggot is always a bit rubbish in my opinion. So I'm going to do the old threaded maggot. So I'm putting it on thread style right the way through, single maggot like that, and because I do like to do this, it's a double maggot, but it's a different way of doing it. And it looks like one big maggot. And if that doesn't work, I'll just have the one on the hook. That's a good way to hook maggots. Right. The double maggot is proving to be a little too big for the small rods and ropes that are out there, and if they're only small, then that's what I've got to fish for. So I'm just going to try the single. I might end up pushing a maggot over the eye and the knot just to really stop it from rolling around, but we'll give this one a go for now. Right, good luck. Well, a little maggot for a little fish. Tiny little bit. I'm using the little rod again for tiny little fish, and I keep hooking the bigger fish. Oh, well, that's always the way, isn't it? Now, bigger is a relative word, because I was rudd fishing with this rod, so it is technically a bigger fish. Right. Let's have a little look at her. Right in the top lip. Beautiful. There you go. There's still a little one. Little beauty. Very pretty. Back you go, sunshine. Well, that was the laid on Waggler, large rod and small rod, with varying success. Had a couple of small carp, as you saw, and a few bits and bobs, rudd and roach. So that was nice. It was a very pleasant day. It was very, very hot, and I'm done. I'm going home for tea and medals now, so enjoy the fishing.